In this video, I actually use my sails without the motors for the very first time. I have my worst motoring experience ever going into 25 knots of headwind and massive seas. I crash my boat and actually break a chunk off of it, and pay a fortune for a really terrible place to dock. Well, that's me leaving Bari. Unfortunately, we didn't get time to see the city, even though we got here in daylight because we had stuff to do. And I'm solo once again. Candice has left and she'll be gone basically until I dock the boat in Preveza. So the next 6 weeks is completely solo, and I've got 3 weeks to get the boat to Preveza basically, so wish me luck. In terms of power, I've got 1.6 kilowatt going in, 800 watts in each motor, doing 3.8 knots at the moment. My destination's not far, 12.5 miles, so hopefully I'll get there in daylight as well. So quite a hazy day over there. I'm only bringing in about 800 watts of solar, so I've got the motors on about 750 watts. I've got my foresail out as usual. It's not shading anything, very little wind. I've got 5 knots from 40 to 50 degrees, and I'm not going at too bad a pace. I'm doing 3.6, 3.7 knots mostly. I don't have far to go, but an hour and a half to get to my anchorage. It's the first time I'm going to be anchoring in Italy. Luckily it's a zero wind night tonight because there's only protection for the southerlies, and I don't think there's going to be too much swell coming in. There'd be this little bit of swell dies down. Radio talking away there. And then tomorrow night I am to get to Monopoli, and I'll probably stay there until Monday. It's going to be cool being in something called Monopoly. Monday's when the really strong southeasters leave, and then I can start making some distance to go. So, that's me. I see I've got a boat on the horizon there. It will go past me, but it is relatively close, so I'll adjust my course a little bit to go to the first race. The sun is hiding behind this haze. It's caused quite a reduction in the solar input. So I've got to slow down a bit. We're only 3.4 knots. Also the wind has slowed down a bit, so that's why we're going quite slow at the moment. Not a problem. Not a long way to go till I reach my destination. Maybe an hour 20 or so. Well, I've made it to an anchorage, and anchorages in Italy are very different to anchorages in Croatia. So pretty much I'm anchored there, which is okay, at least it's protected from southerlies, but wide open to the rest of the ocean. I had to pick my spot quite carefully. I'll see if I can get a video of it tomorrow when I'm lifting anchor, because there's a lot of grass and a lot of rock and some clear sandy patches. First time I missed the sandy patch and the anchor didn't dig in. Second time I hit a sandy patch and it dug in straight away, which is very good. The wind is expected to die down completely. At the moment it's only about 3 or 4 knots from the east. Later on tonight it's expected to die completely, and maybe even have a bit of southerly, so hopefully I'll have a smooth night and not too rocky. I am at an interesting place. It looks like in summer this is a bit of a vibey beach club area, and nothing going on in winter. Other than that, there's very little here except 2 little poodles and me. Hi. Good morning. And I left my anchorage, which was basically open sea, last night. It was a good anchorage. I was in sand. I held very well. You could actually see where the sand and the rock was, so you could drop your anchor very accurately. Slipped quite well. A little bit bumpy to begin with, and then it died off when the wind turned more from shore. And I'm going to another anchorage tonight, which is just outside a town called Monopoli. Yes, you heard that right. The town is called Monopoli. And it's a cloudy day. Let me go and show you the clouds. There's no sun whatsoever. There's a patch of sun. I am charging at about 200 watts, but I'm actually, because I've got lots of time and I've got a slight breeze offshore, I've actually decided to sail there. And I've got both sails up. It's only 4 knots of wind from 50 degrees, so it's a very, very slow sail. But I am sailing, I'm not using any battery, and it's motors are standing still. You can see over there, nothing spinning for a change, which is quite unusual for me. In fact, I think this might be the first time I'm actually making a trip without using the motors. Now I could lift them to reduce the drag, then I would need to make sure I can get them down, so I'd have to lift my dinghy a little bit. I might do that just to see what difference it makes. Okay, so still sailing. The motors are just freewheeling, there's no power coming from the motors, but I'm doing 3.2 knots. I'm not going in the direction I need to go, but I'm going to go out a little bit longer, and then I'm going to tack and hopefully get close to the destination. We'll see how many tacks I need to do, but there is a bit of more wind out here. So 8 knots of wind, 48 degrees, 3.3 knots. Happy with that. You can see the mainsail, telltales are looking good, and the Genoa is tightly hauled because I am going into wind. I might let it out just a little bit so it doesn't chafe on the solar panel there. Looking okay. So the wind is coming for about 70 degrees. I'm only sailing in 14 knots. I'm doing 5.5 knots, which for me is enough. In fact, I'm contemplating, if it gets to 15, I'm going to bring down some sails so that I'll just motor in. I'm going to reach my destination very quickly, but in this wind direction it doesn't actually work, so I might go and tie up to the pier in Monopoli instead. I'm sailing just a jib, no motors at all. 17, 18 knots of wind, not very comfortable, but I'm heading closer to shore where hopefully the wind will be lighter, and towards Monopoli, where there's a free pier which will at least sort me out for tonight, and then I've got to find a marina. Okay, so much calmer again now. I got caught up with full sails with 18 knots of wind, which was for most people I assume it would be comfortable. For me it was a little bit beyond my comfort zone, also because my boat underreads compared to other boats. I think it's because it's got such a short mast, so it's probably about 20 odd knots. Now I'm sitting on 13, 14 with a 12 average, 13 average. It's due to drop later on today. It's also due to come more south of east, which means the anchorage I'm aiming for will be protected. So now I am actively trying to slow down, and as you can see I'm doing a nice slow steady speed. I'm only sailing almost directly into wind, and it should get more and more into wind as the day goes. I'm doing 2 knots, which I'm perfectly happy with, because the later I get to my anchorage, the more protected it'll be from the wind and the swell. Took my mainsail down. First I had to fill the Genoa, went the boat into wind, then I got the mainsail down. It's not tidy, but it's in, and now I'm back to just the jib again, or Genoa. And I think I'm going to stay like that until I get to my destination, then I'll roll this one up. Alright, so this is where I'm heading. Now in terms of the wind it's no problem, but I've still got this big swell on the side, and it looks like the big swell on the side is going to stay till possibly 8 o'clock. I'm just going to go and crawl in and see if I can get deep in, if I actually escape some of the swell. I'm not sure. It's going to be pretty close. Interesting couple of caves over here. On both sides, in fact. So maybe if it's calm at some point tomorrow morning, I'll go and check them out. Dogs are not happy. They haven't enjoyed this sail. I've been trying to buy time for the swell to move more and more south. I don't know how much of it has gone south yet, so we're just going to go and find out. Okay, so the swell isn't too bad. I'm probably going to be okay in here for the night, especially considering that it is going to disappear more and more as the night goes on. I'm in a very interesting anchorage. It's called Corvalu. The side is pretty cool. You've got these big sheet rocks here. Let me zoom in a little bit. We got these caves, which I think are the most awesome. Look at the blue water under that cave there. And then if you keep going around, it's just caves everywhere. So this is something I haven't checked out yet, so nice to see. And maybe I will go and explore it with the dinghy when the swell dies down. Looks pretty cool. So quite a swelly arrival on the beach. And what a beach it is, look at that. That's quite something. Electra is getting a little bit more stable out there, and hopefully as I get back to the boat after my walk in my shop, it'll be good. Dogs, you guys ready? Who's ready? Violin, you ready? Alright, I'm gonna get us on the beach. How's the walk going, you guys? You can't see the view. That is quite a view. So I've left my anchorage, heading for the port, but it's not an easy sail. There's 20 knots of headwind. Fortunately it's dropped now to 16, thank goodness. It never drops a little bit more. Big waves. I can't go any faster because the props will cavitate. It's one of those times I wish I had the pods. I saved as much battery as I could last night, so I should be able to get there absolutely no problem. I should have more than enough to spare, but it's going to be a pretty miserable hour and a half or so, maybe 2 hours. Dogs are terrified. Can't blame them. Big swell. I mean, I'm smacking the bottom of the boat, the rigging is shaking. I'm glad it's new rigging. Not enjoying it. Not enjoying it one bit. My options are, so this port is only 2 miles away now, 1.9, which is great. But the wind is directly on the nose. There is a port in the other direction, it's quite a lot further, but at least I would have the wind behind me and I could even just put up the sail. I could do that. I'm going to keep making a move unless things get completely unbearable. Then I'll turn around and run with the wind. Okay, so as you can see I made it, tied up quite safely. It wasn't fun, it was pretty hair raising, going very slowly into a very strong headwind, very big swell. Yeah, the pods would have gotten me here much faster, but I've used more power. It's a cloudy day. I had enough power for probably double the power I use. Would have gotten me off quite fine. Looks like a beautiful place. Unfortunately, the rule with the town pier is that if you're docked here, you can't leave the boat. So I have to leave the boat now to go and talk to the harbour master, just to go and fill in some forms apparently. But the rest of the time I'm going to have to be staying probably at least within visibility of the boat if I walk the dogs in there, just so that I can get back if I see the guys coming to check up. I've always been a big fan of alpha spiders. In fact, my dad owned 3 of them while we were younger, so it was nice to see all of these over here. I've taken a bit of walk to go and see if it's possible to leave Monopoli, and as you can see it clearly isn't, so I'll have to figure something out. I've got to find a place I can stay for the next few nights because they're going to kick me off the town. Cute little Citroen 2CV. We used one as a wedding car when we got married. So it is quarter till at the moment, and I arrived here yesterday at 11. I'm supposed to be getting off the dock, but the wind is howling outside and there are very big waves. And I've called all the marinas, and one of them has responded and said they can't dock and the wind is strong. The other one has said that, well, they asked me the size of my boat and I replied, and they haven't come back to me yet. And the third one just hasn't said anything. They just they didn't answer their phone, and they didn't answer the email. So I'm gonna stick around here because there's nothing else I can do. I'm supposed to have left an hour ago, but hopefully, because of the adverse wind conditions, they're not going to chase me off the dock. Otherwise, I'll have to ask them for some help to make a plan. Anyway, my batteries are finally full. Yesterday we had very little sun, and I burnt a lot of power getting here. It looks like I burnt about half my battery bank getting here. And the sun from 11 onwards yesterday was very light, and the sun this morning is very light, but it wasn't enough to get me back to a full bank again. And that's good, because now it means I can charge the house bank, and I'm charging the laptop, and soon I will cook for tonight, because I don't want to use up any more battery than I need to, just in case I need to go somewhere and push into a headwind or anything like that. So let's see, I'll hang around on the boat and I'll see if somebody chases me away. Otherwise, I think tomorrow the worst of the storms are over, then I can go back to Anchorage and hang out there for another day before the southerlies clear and I get an opportunity to head towards Brindisi. Hopefully get there. A bit of a mishap. I was leaving the dock on the other side. It's a very rough wall. I had this fender on the side, but with the wind, the back of the boat still drifted. So I had a bit of a mess of that. Again, not structural, just cosmetic. In fact, it looks like it's all putty, filler putty. But yep, another thing to fix when I get to Greece. So that's where I was docked for my first night, and where I scratched the wall, unfortunately. And this is where I was last night, and I'll be again tonight. It's not a nice place to be. It is quite well protected, and that's what I need at the moment. Hopefully the southeaster, well, the southeaster doesn't pass tomorrow, but the monstrous winds do, so it's going to be a light southeaster. I do need to head in the southeast direction, but hopefully it won't be too difficult. Funny enough, this is the most expensive dock I've stayed at. It's paying 75 euros a night. It's got no toilets, no showers, it's in the middle of a boatyard, it's grimy, it's a horrible place to be. The only benefit of paying for a place to stay here is that I finally get to look around and explore Monopoli, and it's lovely. So if you can hear me over this wind, this is why I'm hunkering down in Monopoli at the moment. And there's some pretty big waves here. I need to go around that harbour straight into this wind if I want to get out here. There's no chance that's going to happen. Pity I had damaged my boat coming off the wall. I had a spring line so that the back would stay closer to the wall and the front would be wider. And unfortunately the spring line got caught. Anyway, I'll fix that when I get to Greece. In the next video, I cover the last 100 nautical miles down the Italian boot, stopping in Ostuni, Brindisi, San Foca, and finally reaching Otranto, a surprisingly beautiful town, and also the point where I plan to launch my solo overnight crossing to Greece. Thanks for watching.